Johnson is with us tonight.
Hall of Fame mogul. Yes, indeed.
Stephen A. Smith, Michael Wilbon, Jalen Rose, we are all here. Magic, we're delighted to have you back with us. And so we will start with you. As we look at this matchup, and you were just telling me before we came on how excited you are about these two teams being here. What to you is the most significant individual matchup we will see in these finals?
Well, it's definitely Curry versus Smart, right? And I know that he had success in terms of Smart against Curry in the past. But let me say this. He hasn't done it yet in the NBA Finals. And it's a different animal when you think about the finals, because don't think that Steph Curry is not conscious of him playing good defense against him, right? So he's been probably studying everything that this young man Smart has done against him so he can prepare for game one. And I think Steph is going to have a big series because he's mad at everybody keep talking about how Smart has controlled him, and he wants to show the world.
I agree with Magic in terms of Steph Curry having a big series, but I'm also paying attention to the nuances. I'm talking to a Hall of Famer here, a legend. Obviously, Jalen Rose played in the league for 13 years, knowing what on earth he's talking about. And this man, Mike Wilbon, covering the NBA for over 3 decades. I'm sorry. It's a compliment, my brother. It's a compliment, my brother. You don't look at one bit. Here's the deal. When I watch Marcus Smart, remember, Steph Curry got hurt earlier this year. Marcus Smart was the one who hurt him. When you look at it, not emotionally because it wasn't intentional or anything like that, but Marcus Smart is a highly aggressive and tenacious defender. I'm watching the way the game has been called in the playoffs. That's something that people underestimate. Steph Curry and Steve Kerr can collaborate to use against Marcus Smart as well. And so we got to pay attention to that. The level of aggression that Marcus Smart is going to be able to exercise. Yes, you have an abundance of Celtics who can defend straight up, and we understand that. But you have the most explosive offense in basketball as far as I'm concerned. And if anybody can figure out a way to take advantage of a potent defense, it's the Golden State Warriors.
Let me just say this real quick, Jalen, before you jump in. Quick whistle benefits Golden State. If it's not a quick whistle, it benefits Boston Celtics.
The physical nature, perhaps,
that's right,
and the advantage to the Celtics. What do you have your eye on, Michael?
Can I go to an emotional matchup?
Sure.
Since I learned initially from the gentleman sitting to my far right about teams playing for history, about their minds and their emotions. And I remember being on the wrong side of picking a matchup when Magic was playing against the Celtics, and he was talking about the two teams having that, playing for a sense of pride, the banners that hang above them. Golden State's in that place now. What's that saying from Dennis Green? They are who we thought they are. The Warriors are playing with that in mind. I'm not saying Boston's a very worthy challenger. I think the most worthy challenger from the Eastern Conference. But Golden State missed those 2 years, which was beyond their control with the injuries. And now they want to show us we are who you thought we were. And so I think that plays heavily into this series.
I'm going to take the wings since Magic, the Hall of Fame mogul, took the point guard position, right? Klay Thompson and Wiggins. Klay returns after 941 days, helped shoot them into the NBA Finals. Wiggins started in this year's All-Star game and played really well against the Dallas Mavs. And on the other side, the ascension of Jason Tatum, how he's played in each round leading his Boston Celtics team. And Jaylen Brown, who's been a guy locking down defensively but also making big plays. So I'm interested to see how they respond in their first NBA Finals.
I'm interested in seeing Magic Johnson, who's sitting here next to us. I want to know how much does the Boston Celtics have to do with you sitting here, because if they win, they will surpass the Los Angeles Lakers for no all-time title winner.
I'm not going to hold back that I hate the Celtics. I don't want them to win, of course.
We've got ulterior motives all night long. We have plenty to do.
He's still got 11 rings
Center back here.
Overall.
Greeny, thank you so much. More from the Countdown crew ahead on SportsCenter. They'll be back with the Celtics' biggest keys to stealing home court advantage with a win in Game 1 tonight. That sounds like El Duncan money right there. I can tell you, the night is finally upon us. Game 1 of the NBA Finals between the Celtics and Warriors over on ABC, less than 3 hours away. Boston making their first NBA Finals appearance since 2010, where they lost to the Lakers. The two franchises tied for the most championships. The Celtics 4 wins away from number 18. Golden State making their 6th NBA Finals appearance in the last 8 seasons. Warriors have 6 NBA titles as a franchise, tied with the Bulls for 3rd most all time. Now, the core for the last 3 Warriors titles, Steph, Clay, and Draymond. They're the first trio each with at least one All-NBA selection to make the finals 6 times together over the last 50 seasons. And how about the duo from Beantown, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? The Boston Stars, they're the 4th team to make the finals in the last 40 years with their top 2 regular season scores both age 25 or younger. SportsCenter on the road is presented by Rocket Mortgage, as we have our fantastic reporters Tim Bontemps and Brian Windhorst joining us now with much more here. I brought up the duo here, Tim, and you know, we're looking at January, and the conversation is breaking up that duo, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Now they're getting ready for their first finals. What have they said about this week?
Well, what they've said, Kevin, is that, you know, there's been a lot of talk about this Warriors team getting back to the NBA Finals and all the trials and tribulations they've been through. And for the Celtics, it's really the same thing. You know, over the past several years, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum got to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 times. They've lost every time until this year. They've been through, last year they were a 500 team. In January, they were an under 500 team this year. And people, like you said, thought maybe they should break this team up. Maybe they're not even going to make the playoffs. And now they've gotten through all that. They went through Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Jimmy Butler. They made it here to the NBA Finals and finally broke through to the biggest stage for the first time.
Okay, when you look at depth here, that's going to be a big storyline, especially the injuries on the other side with the Warriors. They've had a week of rest here.
Yeah.
But, Wendy, when you look at the injuries, Otto Porter Jr., questionable. Andre Iguodala, questionable. Another key, Gary Payton II, questionable. If he plays tonight, that is Payton. What kind of impact would he have?
I'm expecting Gary Payton to be active. How much he plays, that's an open question. In interviews over the last couple of days, he's been asked about his status, and he's been a little vague. And I don't know if that's gamesmanship or him being honest, but particularly when he was asked about that shooting elbow that he broke in that series against Memphis, he's not really been forthcoming about how well he can shoot, how comfortable he is shooting the ball. And already with Draymond Green in the lineup, where you think the Celtics are just not going to guard him, watch for Boston to test Gary Payton if he gets out on the court, whether he's really willing to shoot the basketball. But obviously, if he's able to go, it's a huge addition to the Warriors' defense. It's going to need a lot of perimeter poise and a lot of perimeter length and quickness against this terrific Celtics.
Yeah, you mentioned the length because the size advantage is there on Boston, right? You need some bodies there to help Golden State on the defensive side. Thank you so much, guys, as we get you ready here. 2.5 hours live SportsCenter. Of course, the first hour on ESPN, getting you ready for the lineup here. That is Game 1 of the NBA Finals. And, of course, coming up later on in the program, how about Richard Jefferson, Kendrick Perkins, Doris Burke, Raptors head coach Nick Nurse, Mark J. Spears, and the NBA Countdown crew checking in throughout this 2.5-hour edition of SportsCenter that has already been battle-tested as the best in the East. And welcome to SportsCenter on the road as we get you ready for Game 1 of the NBA Finals. I'm Kevin Nagani, live here from San Francisco alongside L. Duncan in Bristol. And no doubt the Warriors are perfect here inside the Chase Center in the postseason, but tonight will be their first finals game inside the Chase Center ever. Of course, this arena built in 2019, and they're playing against the team that has been